Throughout history, particularly the 20th and 21st centuries, a variety of fictional works regarding aliens have been produced in the West. In these works, we find a commonality. Despite the fact that aliens are inherently foreign, the aliens of pop culture tend to be a reflection of self. They represent humanity in all its different aspects, in its virtues and its vices.
To satisfy our fantasies, authors and artists have created countless works dealing with extraterrestrial life. Some deal with invasion, others with subversion. We see aliens representing everything from Nazis to the indigenous peoples of North America. Extraterrestrial life in media first broke into the mainstream with H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. Written in 1898, the novel depicts a violent invasion of Earth by Martians equipped with death rays. War of the Worlds represents a genre of literature popular at the time, known as invasion literature. This reflected society's inherent fear of an invasion by enemy forces. These fears were well grounded, considering that World War I followed shortly after.
Invasion literature eventually morphed into anti-communist literature. Now direct invasion was no longer the fear, it was communism, a more subversive form of invasion that instilled fear in the West, a form of invasion in which the invaders were among us, silent and sometimes unseen.
The nations of the world mobilized their armed might, rushing to defend the Earth against the unknown weapons of the super race from the Red Planet.
Similarly, a 1978 classic, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, depicts an extraterrestrial invasion in which alien plant spores begin to grow on Earth. Each spore is capable of producing a duplicate copy of a target human, assimilating the physical characteristics, memories, and personalities of that person.
What's going on?
I don't know, a strange neurosis, evidently contagious, an epidemic mass hysteria. In 2 weeks it spread all over town.
These two films demonstrate a fear among Western nations that communists would silently infiltrate their communities and change their ways.
Suddenly, while you're asleep, they'll absorb your minds, your memories, and you're reborn into an untroubled world.
Where everyone's the same?
Exactly.
The Klingons of Star Trek, the original series, which aired throughout the 1960s, also represent a communist threat. While the Starship Enterprise serves the Federation, a peace-loving, clearly Western organization that simply wants to seek out new life and new civilizations, the Klingons serve the Klingon Empire, a hostile entity, which places serious distance between themselves and the Federation by means of a neutral zone.
The Klingons are free. Armed as we are, they'll try and take the ship.
Tensions tend to escalate whenever someone enters the neutral zone.
We must have unknowingly entered the neutral zone.
This reflects the strained tension between the Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War.
On the flip side, extraterrestrial life in media has also been used to make anti-capitalist statements, even by the West. This was particularly true in times when many felt the West was destroying itself through its own economic system and culture of greed. These forms of media strive to make the viewer realize that the West was its own worst enemy, and that an excessive, opulent lifestyle was self-destructive.
In a 1962 episode of The Twilight Zone, titled To Serve Man, a race of aliens known as the Canamites lands on Earth and offers humanity a slew of benefits, including bountiful energy, solutions to world hunger, and the ending of the Cold War. These benefits clearly represent the outward benefits of capitalism. However, the viewer eventually learns that this entire exercise is nothing but a trick. The aliens' intent was not to serve man or to help them, but rather to serve them on a platter. The humans were in fact ingredients in an alien recipe. The show seems to warn that the excesses of capitalism are actually an inherent danger.
How about you? You still on Earth or on the ship with me? It really doesn't make very much difference because sooner or later, will all of us be on the menu? All of us.
The 1979 classic horror film Alien tells the story of the spaceship Nostromo, which lands on an alien planet and takes aboard an alien egg. The egg hatches into a dangerous alien that eventually murders nearly the entire crew. The crew of the spaceship wish to take the egg back so that they can receive financial benefits or bonuses, despite the risk to themselves. While the overseers see the crew as expendable, they do not care if the crew dies, they simply wish for the alien to return to the company. Greed, the essential basis of capitalism, is demonized through this work of alien literature.
The Ferengi race in Star Trek The Next Generation are characterized as a race obsessed with making money. They are noted for their blatantly capitalist messages in what are known as Ferengi rules of acquisition.
Once you have their money, you never give it back.
Greed is eternal.
And a Ferengi without profit.
It's no Ferengi at all.
Never place friendship above profit.
In more rare instances, aliens are sometimes represented as victims of humanity, rather than the reverse. Science fiction author Ray Bradbury first theorized this concept in his 1950 short story collection, The Martian Chronicles, which tells the story of humans fleeing a devastated Earth to colonize Mars. Bradbury outlines the conflict between the indigenous Martians and the invading humans. One could obviously take this as a metaphor for the European invasion of the Native Americans.
A more modern and obvious analogy would be James Cameron's Avatar, in which humanity has colonized the alien planet of Pandora in an effort to obtain the very subtly named mineral, unobtainium, that is plentiful where the native Na'vi live. In conclusion, it's important to note that Western media has also lent itself to unfortunate racism and stereotyping. Though beloved by many and hailed as classics, critics often point to the Star Wars films as examples of subtle racism in media.
We're gonna make only money. No money, no parts, no deal.
What is going on down there?
We lost the transmission, sir.
My lord, is that legal?
In closing, take note of these themes the next time you watch a film about extraterrestrial life.